गुड इवनिंग एंड वेलकम टू गना शॉट। गना शॉट में आप सबका स्वागत है। Today we're going to continue with what happened in the Delhi blast, and this analysis is with my very good friend General Satish Dua. As you know, General Satish Dua was the former GOC of Supreme Court. He was also former chief of the Integrated Defense Staff, as high as it can go, right? And he's got tremendous experience in Kashmir. He served there as a CO, he served there as a brigade commander, he served there as a GOC. And the fact that he's just coming off after 5 or 6 TV appearances today. It's a great honor indeed, General Satish. Welcome to Gunner Shot once again. It's been a long time since we've spoken, but we're speaking on a very interesting, I wouldn't say interesting, a very serious topic. Right?
Jai Hind, everybody. Thank you, sir. Thank you for inviting me. And I know it's a very sad day that we. I wish we were speaking under happier circumstances.
Yeah. And now the death toll has gone up to about 13 and more people have been injured. All that, it's very sad. But this is a very, very, very interesting kind of a episode which has happened, right? And just about the time I started this, we were getting into the podcast, I saw an intimation that the government of India has officially declared this as a terrorist incident. This has implications. And we've done this, I did speak about various facets of this Delhi blast in the morning, but I'm now getting to you a expert opinion on this. Satish Dua, I feel, is a better informed person than me on this issue. For the simple reason he's got more experience on this. So I would like him to analyze what he feels, and once he gives his initial views and his overview, where he sees things going ahead, and how things are going to pan out, and what are the options for India, and what does India have to do, we'll go into a bathcheat of the thing. I yield the floor to General Satish. Satish, over to you.
Thank you very much, sir. And once again, Jai Hind viewers. First of all, allow me to express my condolences to the families of those we have lost in this Red Fort blast, and wishing speedy recovery to those who are injured. This this comes an explosion, a terrorist attack of this magnitude in Delhi comes after 14 years. 2011 was the last such attack outside the High Court in Delhi. Thereafter, if you take your mind towards Jammu and Kashmir, in 2016, when I was the co-commander, we launched the terror attack at Puri, where we lost 18 soldiers. That was the first time that we did a bold cross-border operation, and it changed things because thereafter, couple of years later, when Pulwama happened, we did Balakot much deeper into Pakistan, and Operation Sindoor, as we all know, not only it was much deeper, it was a different scale, and it was at a very broad spectrum, and many terrorist targets were hit. So India has taken a very bold stand on such terror attacks, and we'll come to that later. Now, what will happen? We'll come to that later. Dovetailing the statement that you made that government, the CCS meeting has just finished, and I also saw live the information minister's statement, and then the government declaring it as a terror attack, and the implications of that. But let's take our mind back to how terror has evolved over the last, let's say, 5-6 years, especially after abrogation of Article 370. So, first inflection point was the surgical strike, Uri surgical strike, and then the Balakot precision air strikes, and then came abrogation of Article 370 in 2019. After that, while the terrorist violence cooled off, it reduced tremendously. The stone pelting was virtually stopped. The schools were opening, the tourists were lining up, there were no buns, no hartals, and so things were changing and investment poured in, and things were moving better, moving towards normalcy. Then
One minute.
started
Can
a
you
new.
increase your volume a bit, Satish?
Okay, can you hear me now? Is it better?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so then started a new chapter from the terrorism side. They evolved into making new terror fronts, the resistance front, the people anti-fascist front. So there were different organizations, but more important, the hybrid terrorists came into being. A hybrid terrorist was a one-time terrorist who would commit one action. They were not terrorists who were trained in the jungles or in POK in terror camps. They would just use a pistol, kill some chemist. That incident that happened, kill the chemist in downtown Srinagar, kill some migrant labor in Kashmir, and things like that. So we started seeing they would just use a pistol, use a grenade, which doesn't require much training, and hybrid terrorist, the term came into being. What we are seeing today is white collar terrorism. What we are seeing today is educated people. It is not for the first time. If we are seeing a lot of doctors and connected people today in this over last 2 days in this terror plot, we have also seen engineers earlier. In 2011, it was that decade before that was Indian Mujahideen and Semi combined. They were engineers mostly. We also had engineers in Hizbul Mujahideen. So we are now getting into a phase of white collar terrorism. Why is it important? It is more important because when a car passes through a barrier, you and me, the police, everyone trusts a doctor. A doctor is a respectable name. We actually go to him when we have problems. So he's supposed to save lives, not supposed to take lives. So that is one aspect. So intelligence agencies over the last 20 days have actually started unearthing. The Jaish-e-Mohammed poster was seen in Kashmir, and thereafter the thread runs through Pulwama. Then there has been coordination between the J&K police and Haryana police. The plot was unearthed in Faridabad, where 3,000 kilometers of, beg your pardon, 3,000 kilogram of explosive was discovered. Then we had raids in Uttar Pradesh, JK police and Uttar Pradesh police. So a lot of action has been going on. And to my mind, a bigger issue, a bigger attack or a series of attacks has perhaps been averted because this Dr. Umar, in his diary, in his telephone, he has noted the date of 6th December. So it appears the government has also, the police has let out the statement. It appears that there was a plot or a plan to have a series of terror attacks on 6th of December, around that date, to mark the date of demolition of the Babri Masjid structure, the anniversary of that day. So we were looking at that terror attack, and then as it turns out, it perhaps is a panic attack because Faridabad module got caught, and this attack took place. As we know, we've been listening to it over last 2 days. What has happened now is it has been proven and accepted by the intelligence agencies, by the police, that this is a terror attack. It took us a couple of days to make sure that we are saying the right things. And then the Prime Minister, in his speech in Bhutan yesterday, said, he spoke about the fact that that we will not leave the perpetrators, and like it happened after Pahalgam, when he was giving a speech in Bihar, in Madhubani, he spoke one sentence in English, that we will not let the we will not only go after the terrorists but also those who have been supporting them from wherever, even across the border. And that's exactly what he said. A similar statement he made this time for the global audience. He sent one sentence in English. So I think that is a writing on the wall. The latest that's happened today, at the expense of repetition, the Cabinet Committee on Security has met. Some decisions have been taken. That those were announced by the Minister of Information Minister, Ashwini Vaishnav, and thereafter it has been classified as an act of terror. And I said earlier, we'll come to this later. Why is this statement important? It is important because after Pahalgam and during Operation Sindoor, more than once, Prime Minister has said it once, that from now on, any act of terror will be taken as an act of war, and our responses will be accordingly. So we can expect what form this will take, we cannot say, because when Uri surgical strike in 2016 was a very shallow 3-4 kilometers incursion across the border. Balakot was much deeper, and Operation Sindoor was even deeper and at a wider scale. So, what form this will take, we will have to leave it for the leadership to decide. But to my mind, I think it is the writing is on the wall that there will be some action in house. We will continue to clean up the house as we are doing right now. All the security intelligence agencies and security forces put together. But on the other hand, we will have, I'm sure we will see some bold action by as the leadership may deem fit.
Yeah, I think it's a very important thing that this entire incident has been classified as an act of terror, and it invokes what the Prime Minister said earlier, that any act of terror will be treated as an act of war and will be responded accordingly. We'll have to see what this accordingly is. One. The second thing is, uh, like in Op Sindoor, Op Sindoor and whatever happened in Pahalgam was clear-cut case. That couldn't have happened without Pakistan's complete complicity, 100% complicity. Not that they're not complicit here, but the linkage of this terrorist incident to Pakistan will be a little difficult to prove. Your views on that, unless it is
Uh,
present, it is presumed
no,
from that point of view. But
no.
I'll lead it up to something else.
Yeah, so you see, a couple of days ago, the day this that is on the 10th when this happened, I went on a channel, and I think it was Aaj Tak, and I was speaking, and I said, when they said this is a terror attack, and this was discussion was in Hindi, and this is, so there I said, so far, it has not been classified as a terror attack. Let's not get, it's only media which is saying so. The Delhi police has not yet made any statement like this, because this was just about a couple of hours
Within,
afterwards.
yeah, understood.
Yeah, so the media has started saying that this is a terror attack. So I made this statement. And there was no crater, which normally on the road there should have been a crater. Our experience tells us this. So there are different things. We will still have to wait and watch, is what I said that day. But now, 2 days later, I think, to my mind, uh, while there will be a better dossier formed and more evidence will be brought in, but a couple of pointers clearly point towards the Jaish-e-Mohammed. It is clearly coming out as a Jaish-e-Mohammed plot, as the after NIA has stepped in, as they have brought into as they brought out various things. For example, this Dr. Umar, amongst other things, like he first went to Fazal El Mulai Elai Mosque. He went there for about 15 minutes, so perhaps he met somebody, and then he came out and then parked near the Suneri Masjid. So there he got some instructions, as is all well known, that he perhaps also panicked because the Faridabad module was busted. But what is more important is it that he had been to Turkey. Now that has come out very recently, that he had been to Turkey. Why is he just gone to Turkey? Ostensibly, it appears to meet their handlers in another country which is favorable to such atmosphere. So, and there are a few more things which are not at, I mean, I am unable to recall right now, but I've been reading this. So, things are pointing towards the fact that this is a Jaish-e-Mohammed handiwork. Now, if it is Jaish-e-Mohammed, then clearly it is if it is Jaish-e-Mohammed attack, then the ISI gets involved, because Jaish and Lashkar-e-Taiba, LET, now their leaders, and Jaish leader Maulana Azhar Masood, he made a statement just about a week or 10 days ago in Pakistan. He made statements. The government, that is the government of the day, is giving him protection. He lost several close family members during Operation Sindoor, as is well known, admitted by Jaish as well as the Pakistan establishment, and we saw senior officers in uniform going for their funerals. So, Pakistan cannot deny their involvement if the Jaish-e-Mohammed's hand is proven in this, which we are seem to be inching towards. So that, to my
Yeah,
mind, is a fact that we might be able to pinpoint that Pakistan angle in this.
Yeah, so I think overall you'll agree with me. Pinning the fact on Pakistan is important. Don't you agree with that?
Yes,
Right.
it is.
So
It is important.
it is.
Otherwise,
It is important.
yeah, because we will not do. India is not a rogue nation. We will not do something just like that.
That's
After all, we
right.
have to be responsible. We are a nuclear country, and so is our neighbor.
Yep.
But we have decided that we will not sort of keep taking it anymore. Once it is proven, then there will be some bold action.
Yeah. So there will be some action, right? But between some action and now, how do you see things folding out? And how do you see things rolling out? That's the more important point.
Uh, if you recall, between Pahalgam and Operation Sindoor, also we had similar actions. You see the difference between this operation, Operation Sindoor, and the earlier smaller operations of Uri surgical strike and Pulwama was uh, was that Uri surgical strike. I was the corps commander. We launched in 10 days, and nobody had an idea, neither our countrymen nor Pakistan army, that something is going to happen. Similarly, in Balakot, they were wary, but they didn't know what will happen. But it happened. We did a precision airstrike. Very different thing happened. In what was different in Pulwama, I beg your pardon, after Pahalgam, was that the government, and this is your question, what is going to happen now? So, if you recall, that time the first statement was a very strong step, never been done before step of uh, Indus Water Treaty being held in abeyance. The diplomatic mission was scaled down to a very low level. Now, that itself was a very big statement. We finished all the trade. Now, when we say India Pakistan does not have trade, I agree, but there are some small humanitarian issues. There were some issues that were going on. Everything stopped. So, that were very bold steps. So, during this intervening period, while on one hand the security forces, the military armed forces, the government will prepare for whatever they want to do, but on the other hand, we will have tightening of such measures between India and Pakistan. As it is, the water treaty held in abeyance is pinching Pakistan. So let's see what more steps the government comes out with.
Okay. So, but I'm sure you'll agree with me that, and this for everyone, and I'd like you to expand on it also. You need to have a very clear strategic communication system put in place.
Yes.
One thing which we did lack during Op Sindoor, and it's come out.
Yeah.
So, uh, uh, don't you think that we should do something about that part before we contemplate anything more? Action.
Uh,
Before that action,
yes.
you do strategic communication. And what are the pointers, or rather, what are the lines of strategic communication that you want to start exploring?
That's a very good question, and this is what we need to do in the intervening period. In the intervening period, it is not enough to just take a moral high ground and say that we are victims of a terror attack and we will respond. So that's one statement. That's for domestic audience and for the planners to plan. What we need to do, and what should have done earlier also, uh, is the fact that that we have to convince, not only the domestic audience is convinced, we also have to convince the international audience, the global audience, that uh, we have been at the raw end. We are the victims of terror attacks off and on, and this is happening. Not only is happening in the capital, and this is happening at one of the symbols of our nationhood, and that's Red Fort. You know, when there is an attack on one of the symbols of the nationhood, it assumes a higher profile, and so this is what has happened now, and this fact we have to convey to the global audience in a more effective manner. Like you use the word strategic communication. Today's world, this information warfare, this cognitive warfare, as it is called, we have to put our point across in a more effective manner. And I think that the first step beginning has been made today in the statement of the information minister. He made a statement talking about giving condolences to the family, and he also mentioned we are receiving support from so many governments from around the world. So I think that we are reading into that. If I am reading that correctly, we are going to start reaching out to those governments to, shall I say, shape the opinion, bring out the truth to them that this is what is happening, and then Prime Minister's statement earlier, a sentence in English that we will take a bold action, whatever it takes. So I think all this put together. But last sentence, you are right. We need to have better strategic communication, and I'm sure we would have learned from what we did not do right in the
Yeah,
last episode.
I think that's a very important point which I want to reinforce. We don't know what action the government is contemplating. We'll not
Yes.
second guess that at this point of time. We'll look at the broad options, but we can't second guess that. But what we have to prepare international opinion that this is a terror attack. And why I'm highlighting this. Till yesterday, the statements coming out of USA USA gave condolences for this ghastly attack incident and all, but they didn't classify it as a terror attack, right? Whereas the blast which happened in Islamabad was classified as a terrorist attack. Their condolences, yeah, all that. Okay, so and it is in this wrap on this strategic bubble that we have to put our case and tell people, look, this is happening. What do we do about it? Don't you think it's high time we put this point across to the international opinion and say, you tell us, are we justified in going in or not? Doing whatever we
Uh,
want.
you have hit the nail on the head, sir. I think this is something I would say we need to learn from Pakistan. They do it much better. I have no hesitation in saying that. You know, when we say that this is a point that we must take across and we must put across, it's all good in our discussions. How does it actually translate? It doesn't, it cannot happen by a few articles, even if you write in the Washington Post or New York Times. You know, it is not going to happen by a few articles and some media channels alone. Uh, the government uh, has to have you see, US especially, you know, US shapes the opinion of the Western world, we know that. And in US, Pakistan has six lobbying firms, has engaged six lobbying firms to put across their point of view. That's the way the capitalist dispensation of US works. Do you know, before Operation Sindoor, India had one lobbying firm. India engaged one lobbying firm to put the point across. After Operation Sindoor, we engaged second one. It came as a headline news in Times of India, I remember. Now, if this is our, we Pakistan invests much more in such things, and I think this is where we need to understand that this issue has to be given due importance, and that is why when President Trump says, he says that terrible blast in Delhi and the terror attack in Islamabad, that is a kind of statement, comparison that is being made. So yes, we will have to my mind, we should have done it earlier. Operation Sindoor, after that, we have learned all these lessons. You and I have discussed it in many forums and we've spoken about it openly. The government has to, and this has to be done by the government. This is not for the security forces or intelligence agencies. We need to shift gears in this aspect.
Yeah, I think so. We need to shift gears. And I would like to tell everyone it's not going to be an easy affair. Because please remember, right, Pakistan from Op Sindoor to now is the favorite, you know,
Yes.
poster boy of USA, right? And there is already a right. The way I look at it, and I'd like your comments on it, is Pakistan would already be saying, look, we are the victims of terror with what's
Yes.
happened, right? If this has also happened, where do we go? We are
Yeah.
helpless. That kind of a story. That's one story. The second story, which is now coming out of certain quarters, even in Pakistan and Afghanistan, is that whatever happened in Islamabad is to offset what happened in Delhi. And it is a false flag operation, right? Why am I saying this? Because Pakistan has already painted itself into a corner of being a victim of terror. And how do
Yes.
you punish a victim of terror with another terror? That's the thing. I want your views on this.
You know, this morning I tweeted saying that Pakistan is spoiled for choices. And I put out two different snapshots. Their defense minister uh, blamed Afghanistan for the Islamabad terror attack. But later on, the Prime Minister blamed India for the terror attack, which our MEA has refuted strongly. So the point I'm trying to make is it may well be a false flag operation, like you say, because 2 days after this blast in Delhi, we have a blast in Islamabad, and Pakistan can play the victim card very well, like you said. So the victim card is, look, we are surrounded, both the borders, west and eastern borders. Afghanistan is attacking us. India, the LOC is active. We have two active borders, and we have so much of terror attacks taking place. They have Baluchistan problem. They have the Pashtun problem. TTP, Tehrik-e-Labbaik is also is active now, and this kind of blast. So you are right, and that is what we were talking earlier. We have to shift gears. We are narrative has to be based on credible facts. We have to do it
Yeah.
properly, but then we have to realize that this is again, and like I said, we are already too late. We are now going to be reacting after this terror attack has taken place. So all in all, and like you said, Pakistan is a blue-eyed boy at the moment on many counts, and India, for all its this thing, we are sort of not backing down on many things, the sanctions and the tariffs and many things that they want us to sell their agriculture produce and dairy products. So we are not backing down on things. So we are not making it easy for US. So with that, the kind of things that is running around, the perception in the US, it is going to be tough. But we need to also understand US, while I myself said is very important, but then the world is beyond US also. We have to mold the opinion in Europe, in Middle East, in Africa, in the global South, East Asia. There are many other countries. I mean, I do agree US is still the single most important part.
Yeah.
We have to take it to the world.
Right. So we have to take it to the world, and we have to take it very strongly to the world, and we shouldn't lose time on it.
Yes.
And really speaking, we so far we have not. First 48 hours, we've said we'll investigate. We've carried out a credible investigation, which has now come out pretty clearly. And I think a statement is due out from the ministry, home, defense, whoever, right? Or any, the government channel to come out and spell out what all has happened so far, or put it out in the PAB as a statement to the government of India,
Yep.
and say this is our conclusion and we reserve the right to do what we have to do. I think that's
Yeah.
almost on the cards. Yeah, please.
Yeah, sir, I just want to. I saw that live. In fact, Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav said, "This is what is the statement. The 3 4 points that we discussed. That statement has come out, and he also told them, the Hindi translation, इसका हिंदी translation भी आप सबको दे दिया जाएगा, and so that statement is already out as we speak. It must be already being flashed across the news channels because
Yeah,
I saw it during my last intervention in India Today before I joined you. This thing happened.
yeah. So that's there. That's very clearly now. If that's happened, it's very good. We've told everyone this is it, and we reserve the right to action. Now let's look at what all can India do under the given conditions and circumstances, and given that this kind of a terror attack. And what are the options do we have? Do you think we have to repeat what we did in Oxendu? Should we do more? Should we do less? Should we go hybrid? Should we do something else? Options. I'm not looking at
Yeah.
what
No.
we will do, but what are the options available to us?
Obviously, the fact that we are retired people, we are just speaking from our experience and going by a sort of set of
A logic.
precedences that have taken place, a set of precedences that have taken place, how we have upscaled it, and how we gotten it. So what has happened is that Operation Sindoor, earlier this year, we have on one hand, we have confirmed information that Operation Sindoor, the video clippings have shown, we've hit a proper the headquarter. Like for example, where a headquarter has been hit, the neighboring house has not been damaged when a building has been hit. So that kind of precision we have, both in terms of information, intelligence that is, and in terms of being able to execute that pinpoint attack by our own platforms. So that capability we have sort of proven to ourselves, and we have confidence in it. Uh, there were 21 terror targets that were identified. Uh, we had a list of 21 terror camps, and we have precise locations and coordinates of these 21 locations. We chose to attack only 9 during Operation Sindoor. So if we are going to go have an operational option of that kind, then I think one option would be to hit the others, which we have not touched. Or it could also be to reinforce some of these, which we have already attacked. But I am sure, I'm very confident of what I say. I choose my words carefully, that we will only hit terror targets. From our side, we will not. We will ensure. I think by now we have enough capability and confidence in our capabilities that we will not have collateral damage, and we will not hit any other installations, whether it's infrastructure or military installations, on our own, unless we are provoked to do so.
Yeah. So let's right just to add a point to what General Satish Dua said, we have the capability to hit terror targets, designated targets or bases, or training camps, whatever their infrastructure, and we know their locations. Yeah. But at this point of time, we also need to understand that the JEM or the LET would have vacated most of these before doing any of this action. So to that extent, by the time we start doing anything, we might be hitting thin air also. So while we have this option of doing it, the consequences of doing this option are also there. Right? That's what I thought I'll bring out. Okay, having said this, what else do you think we could do in this
So the
kind of a
other thing
situation?
the other thing we saw in Operation Sindoor is that there were operations along the line of control.
Yeah.
The line of control was activated. Uh, Pakistan started firing on the line of control, because line of control is a very tripwire defense. Anything takes place anywhere, there is always repercussion on the line of control. It happens at very local levels, as you and I have both been on the LC and we have seen. So that is bound to happen. So there will be a battle on the line of control if anything, the balloon goes up. And for instance, there are also, apart from the usual exchange of fire on that is post to post on the line of control, there are also terror launch pads which are very close. And operations did take place, extensive operations did take place in Operation Sindoor, as we all are aware. Operations took place around those launch pads also. Those are shallow operations, shallow in comparison to the magnitude of what happened in Operation Sindoor. So I'm sure those LOC operations are another option. They will obviously be in tandem with whatever action we take.
Do you visualize any cross-border operations in this kind of a scenario, given the current situation and everything?
So
I mean,
I
let's
think
say what are the advantages, disadvantages of carrying out a cross-border operation?
so I think the all options are on the table. What are the advantages of carrying out an operation like this? I think now any high profile terror attack will make it incumbent on the leadership. In fact, I would stick my neck out to say, even if there is any other party in power, that the government of the day will, it will be incumbent that now that we have started taking actions, bold actions like this, whenever we there is a sensational terror attack, and let us not only count the number of uh,
Yeah,
deaths
no,
that
it's
take
the
place.
extent of the attack.
That's exactly. So it's not the number of deaths,
It's the extent of
because
the attack.
I absolutely, to my mind, two things. One, that it has been done on a symbol of nationhood, a symbol of art in India, that is the Red Fort. Second, by that two, 3,000, 2,900 kg of
Ammonium
explosive
nitrate.
material, ammonium nitrate, and so if that material was obviously not for one bomb, it was going to
Yeah.
be a series of attacks as it is coming out, and if it is going to be around December 6th, for the sake of the importance of the date, and if that is going to happen, I think the security forces and more so intelligence agencies and the police have averted maybe a lot of things. So, uh, to that extent, I think uh, we need to understand that we have averted a bigger crisis, and so to my mind, we should see the magnitude of attack that was perpetrated or planned on India was that. So having said that, so our response has to be according to that, including what we have managed to avoid, because I'm sure we'll be able to sort of prove it has already started trickling out. A couple of facts I already mentioned. I won't repeat them. That it will come out in the next day or two that the terror plot will actually unfold. We'll get more details as so many people have been taken into detention. So many interrogations are going on. Relatives, friends, family have been taken into detention. So it is of these doctors and others who are involved. So we are positively going to see more. I think you and I will be discussing this, or
Yeah, we'll
across the
discuss this. I
nation.
mean,
Across
right.
the nation, we'll be discussing all this that's happening.
Yeah. Right. So what I'm trying to bring out is it's going to be a very difficult decision for the government to carry out the extensive cross-border operation the way it was carried out in Op Sindhu, because of the simple fact that most of the terrorist camps would have shifted interland. And I don't think there would be many terrorist bases or camps which were earlier there. If these people had some sense, they would have vacated by them by a long way. So it's going to be a difficult set of options. We'll have to see what the government does. Okay, that is direct action. What are the other actions we should now take overtly in the hybrid mode? Like last time we said IWT. Fine, that was a big order of the day, or rather, big announcement of the day. What more can you do this time? And of course, we know Pakistan has got so many things which we can do. So, in terms of hybrid options, where do you think, uh, or let me put it, do you think we should go more hybrid and less direct?
Uh, you see, th- there are today's warfare. It is a multi-domain operations era of multi-domain operations. So, uh, if you use the dimension of space, cyber, uh, drones, the kind of different actions that can be perpetrated, it need not always be very kinetic. What we did in Operation Sindoor was all very kinetic operations. So we will perhaps have a combination. There will be kinetic operations, and in the kinetic operations, I have a I mean, I beg to differ with you slightly. When you said that terrorists may have moved out, I am sure they would move out. I'm sure they would move out of the camps. But if we destroy the infrastructure at a camp, you know, killing a number of terrorists is not the only aim. It is also a statement. So you
Yeah,
destroy the infrastructure of that camp. Again, the infrastructure will also be rebuilt. What are you destroying? There are a few buildings, some obstacle courses, and firing
the
ranges. So you destroy
symbolism is
that.
important. The
Yeah.
symbolism
So
important.
so we make a statement. The statement being that any act of terror is an act of war, and don't think that we will not react. We will react to everything. It will hurt you. And
Yeah,
if that is the symbolism, that is the statement. We are not going to count how many terrorists we kill, because you kill a few more will come up. You destroy the infrastructure, that will be rebuilt. All that is bound to happen. But I think that statement is more important in conjunction with the other dimensions that we have discussed and some we have not discussed. Those, all that being put into effect will perhaps be
yeah.
more relevant, I think.
So, look, folks, all those who are listening, what General Satish Dua said in the last 2 minutes is very important. Our response is going to be modal, multimodal, hybrid, and multidimensional in multi-domain. Okay. I'm very sure of that. Some of the responses which we initiate, we might not even come to know of it,
Yes.
right? We will not even know about it. We will exploit space, we will exploit the electromagnetic spectrum, and we might go low key, but with effect. A certain amount of, by the very fact that the government has declared this as a terror incident, and they've said virtually that we reserve the right to do what we have to do, uh, indicates a certain amount of kinetic operations will have to come up. Will come up. That's a normal thing. Where it will end up, we is something which we cannot speculate at this point of time, right? So far, what we have looked at is the fact that externally we have to focus on Pakistan. You have to build up strategic communication. You have to be preparing for what kind of kinetic action you want to do, what kind of non-kinetic action you want to do, how much of hybrid, how much of direct action. All these things are towards Pakistan. Is there anything we can do with Baluchistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Afghanistan? Because these are the obvious weaknesses of Pakistan. That's the question which we need to consider. Your views on that aspect, Chandua?
So if I in light of, and if I don't say anything in response to that, that would be a perfect answer, because I'm sure the audience is intelligent enough to
Yeah,
understand that.
yeah, mhm.
So I mean that has to be our
Yeah,
stand, right?
yeah. I
So
agree with you.
but the fact also remains that Pakistan is in a pickle, especially after last month's the visit of the Afghanistan foreign minister to India, where Pakistan was hoping for strategic space in Afghanistan after the Americans withdrew. It is other way around. That entity is attacking them across the border, the terrorist groups, and Pakistan has antagonized them further by pushing back the refugees, Afghan refugees. So a lot of things are happening on their western front. So uh, I'm reminded of an old movie, All Quiet on the Western Front. All is absolutely not quiet on the western front as far as Pakistan is concerned. And so, in that pickle that Pakistan is, I think the other things we can't talk about, but I'm sure this dimension will play out. Our relations with Afghanistan, the
Afghanistan.
Taliban that is ruling Afghanistan, is going to create issues for them, because this will also embolden their rebel groups, their terrorist groups, whether it's Baluchistan, Taliban Pakistan, or Tehrik-e-Labbaik Pakistan. That was also bound to surface. Whenever a country is weak, the terrorist groups try to make hay. So I think, all in all, we are going to see such
Something. We're
heightened
going to see
activities
something.
over here. In fact, it will be
Yeah.
very interesting, Shankar sir, to hear the questions, because I'm sure the audience are
Yeah.
bursting
We'll,
to
we'll,
ask.
we'll, we'll, we'll just get to that. And of course, look, folks, today we just discussed Pakistan. There's a whole lot of things we have to do internally. And
Yeah.
I'm not discussing that today because morning my focus was internal. Evening,
Okay.
my focus has now been external. Right? So with this, I'll take a few questions. We'll see where we are and okay.
Right.
Okay. At the beginning, uh, yeah, Prashtare, thanks a lot for becoming a YouTube member. I request all of you, those who are watching this, if you like this video, give the press on that thumb icon, uh, thumbs up icon, and also subscribe to Gana Shot and press that bell icon, and of course join as members like Prashadre has done, right? And I will take questions directly. Okay. It does come to light that it is the Muslim clergy that is misguiding their community in general and youth in particular. High time they were put to task to mend their ways. Your views?
Uh, should I take it on?
Yeah, yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. Now, you see, that is the reason why we always call these movements, the terrorist group, as Islamist and not Islamic. Because no religion perpetrates violence. It is in the name of religion that this uh, misguided uh, clergy or this part of their religion actually radicalizes the youth. And de-radicalization is a big subject by itself. It's a topic for a full-blown debate by itself. Uh, some efforts are being taken by the government, by the security forces, by the intelligence agencies to de-radicalize. But we really have to put our heart and mind into, as a whole of government, whole of nation approach to de-radicalize the youth. Uh, what we are discussing, so that is a very long drawn process. It will take time. Uh, but what we are discussing today is uh, we will have to continue to take kinetic measures and other retaliatory measures as we discussed today to make sure to make the cost of terrorism very high to the perpetrators. We so far let's before 2016 we have always let it slide because of the nuclear bogey. So we have to continue to de-radicalize as you ask, but on the other hand, we must continue to make the cost of perpetrating terrorist acts and violence very high for them.
Yeah, okay. That's a fair one. We have to do, I mean, we just, silence is not an option. No action is also not an option from here on. That's the thing which we need to understand. And this is a very interesting question. I think this is a dumb question, but what has been the difference between the bomb blast throughout the decades from a community and a political point of view? I mean, he's just asking what is the difference between this bomb blast and whatever happened earlier.
So, um, like I pointed out, there are differences at different planes. First, there is a difference in the nature of the chemical constituent of the bomb itself. The bomb, this is ammonium nitrate, not RDX. Like I pointed out earlier, there was no crater on the road. So RDX has a very different kind of explosion. There were no shrapnels over here. Otherwise, bombs have shrapnels. The bombs will create a crater. On a busy road like this, the destruction and the number of casualties would have been much more with RDX. But why ammonium nitrate? Because in the medical fraternity, the doctors, they were able to, over a period of time, manage to procure this sort of these constituents that are required for this kind of a bomb. So that's a chemical difference between this bomb and what is happening over there. But the political difference, like you said, a bomb, if it is exploded like an ID that we are used to on a culvert or a bridge, that is attacking the infrastructure. So attacks can be on infrastructure. Attacks can be a car bomb attack. This is also car bomb. In fact, I was asked this question on India Today yesterday or day before, saying or Aaj Tak. So isn't this just like the Pulwama attack? Because this is a car bomb attack and this is also a car attack. I think they are very different. I'm not answering your question of how these bomb blasts are different. That is in a car. Pulwama was also a car bomb attack, but there a car laden with explosive was rammed into a bus consisting of CRPF Jawans, and we lost 40 Jawans in that. So that was a very different kind of bomb. It was in the countryside, in Kashmir, in the countryside, but the target was very specific. In this case, the target per se has not been specific. It was nearing a traffic light, it was slowing down, and it exploded there. But what was important is the symbolism. It catches everyone's attention that it was at the Red Fort. That means if you take your mind back to the Parliament attack in 2001, now if you attack the Parliament, and before that there was an attack on the Legislative Assembly in Srinagar. So if these attacks are very high profile terror attacks, so on one hand you if it's a countryside, I like it started off by saying it's a bomb or an ID or an explosive. If a convoy is passing by, you put an attack. While every life is important, but the number of lives that we lost in Pulwama because it was a very targeted attack on a bus was more. In this, the number of lives lost may be less, but that's a very stupid way of comparing because cost of every, I mean, every life is as, what cost can you put to a life? But symbolism is important. So, how you carry out the attack, where you carry out the attack, I think that makes the difference.
Yeah, I'll just add to what General Dua said. General Dua spoke of RDX and TNT and all that. Those are higher forms of explosives. Ammonium nitrate is the basis for that. Ammonium nitrate gets converted into trinitrate solvent, right? And then it's completely a different category. Now, the way I read it so far, this ammonium nitrate, when it explodes, gives fire. It doesn't give crater, shelling, gave all that. If they'd used charras in this, it would have created problem, sharpnel effect, but they didn't. Obviously, the way I read it, and this was hastily put together with some mechanism and all that, because there was something happening in Faridabad, and then people can, uh, the attention gets diverted if you do something. Maybe they were probably going into Chandni Chowk area somewhere and do something where it catches fire, and
Yeah.
this there was a lot of fire in this incident. So, and probably this was not the target. Whether you do it in Red Fort or Chandni Chowk area, everything, the symbolism is the same, right? It's just that this happened at a different place. But the fact is, what happened earlier to what happened now, the difference is political messaging which is coming across to us. That it doesn't matter what you do, we'll do what we have to do. That is the difference. And that is something which we have to understand, right? The, the way the hand Pakistan is playing is something which we need to understand. This is my view. They're saying, look, I am where I am. I'm a victim already. I said, look, if a victim can't be a perpetrator of terror, but I will do it this way. I've covered myself and I'm doing it this way. And if you see the external covering of this entire attack, it is being shown as if it is originated from Kashmir. All leads point towards Kashmir as if it's a homegrown problem. And that's what Pakistan is going to say. This is an internal problem of India. So that's the thing. There's a game being played out. That's my view. We'll go ahead. We'll see other questions also, right? So there've been, yeah, of course. How will we handle this now that the cabinet has declared it as a terror incident? We've spoken about it. Yeah, yeah. Do we need to do a military action, as General says? We need political solution. We need to defeat Pakistan politically. Your views on this?
No, I think I may not have expressed myself well. I did not say politically. What I meant is it is for the leadership to decide. When I say the leadership, it is not only the political leadership, it is the political and military leadership sits down together and decide. After Pahalgam, the political steps were announced next day. That is cutting down the diplomatic relations, holding the Indus Water Treaty in abeyance were announced because they just had to be announced. There was nothing to be done. But for military actions, there is a preparation involved. There are consequences to be thought of. Are we prepared for the how prepared, well prepared are we for the consequential actions, the response that we might draw? So all those things have to be gone into. So that takes a little. The many stakeholders have to sit down and plan together. So that the political leadership, but the military leadership will also have to be involved.
Yeah. Right. Impact of kinetic activities are limited. India should spend on funding separatists. Internally, India should spend more on plugging loopholes in Aadhaar, voter ID, passport, etc.
Well, what you say is right. It's a statement of fact. We must go on all fronts. Like you said, I start from your question bottom upwards. So yes, we must include our voter ID, Aadhaar, everything must be improved. All that is internal issues that we have to take care of. We must step up intelligence, we must step up de-radicalization, I'll add to that. So all those are internal actions. But when you say that impact of kinetic actions is less, like I said earlier, I think the statements are made by kinetic actions. It is that which draws the attention. It is that which subdues the adversary. You you use cyber attacks, you use other technological means. Uh, it will be overcome after some time. But the attack on a terrorist hideout, a terrorist camp, or their logistics infrastructure is something that will be there to see. Like I said, even that will be recouped. Everything will be repaired and recouped. But we have to make a bold statement. Like a terror attack, it made a statement. They are saying what Pakistan is saying, like General Shankar said, I mean, I am a victim and I can continue to perpetrate it. Or they say that, okay, you can do this in Kashmir. In fact, why they're doing it in Delhi? Because in Kashmir, today, the military, the security, and the intelligence infrastructure has become very robust. They are unable to make headway. And especially after Pahalgam terror attack, for the first time, I've said this often, that what we as security forces, intelligence agencies could not achieve, the terrorists and the ISI achieved by that Pahalgam attack. That is, the whole of Kashmir, cutting across party lines, whole Kashmir came out and condemned the terror attack at Pahalgam. That has never happened before. So in Kashmir, there is a very different mahal, there is a very different environment today. So that is the reason why they are also coming down in other places. And they are now, of course, the symbolism, like we've already spoken enough, that symbolism is much higher when you do it at the capital. So I think statements need to be made. So kinetic will always retain their importance.
Yeah, you can't just say, no, I'll do no kinetic action.
Yeah.
You might do less kinetic action. You might do a kinetic action which Pakistan can't respond to. But kinetic action will have to be done after, especially after you declared it as a terror incident, especially after the fact that, I'll come to that next one, especially after the fact that our Prime Minister said any act of terror will be declared, will be treated as an act of war. So something will be done. It will be symbolic enough where Pakistan can do very really nothing about it. It might not be able to respond. But my guess, second, if I have to second guess the government, there'll be more hybrid actions of long-standing thing, which will come out. We'll see how it happens. Okay. So we are deeply worried with the lack of intent to do security reforms by government and Pakistan winning with radical jihad.
Uh, I I don't know what you mean. I am at loss to understand what you mean by that. We are not doing a lack of security reforms. Do you say reforms, right?
Yeah, it's security reforms.
Yeah, security reforms by government. The government is, to my mind, these reforms have already been sort of set into motion. A lot of the integration efforts, the appointment of a CDS, trying to create more jointmanship, all that is happening. And then we saw the results in Operation Sindoor and a lot of this exercise Trishul that has just wound up 2 days ago. So all these things are taking place. We must remember that security reforms uh, cannot, there are two things. Firstly, it cannot materialize in a hurry. It takes time. It will take years. We because there are complex structures and processes that have to be integrated and platforms. There are different weapon platforms, uh, different things that Army, Navy, Air Force use. So there are a lot of things, and our hierarchies have to be merged. So there are a lot of things that are happening, and they are happening. The other thing that we must understand is that India has two active borders, and we have a third front inside this terror attacks. So our LOC and LAC are active, unresolved borders where we always keep having flashpoints. Under such circumstances, we are not like America, which is an island. And in 1986, they announced a Goldwater Nichols Act, and then they decided we are going to merge our forces, and so they could do it because there are no threats on their borders. we also have to remember that we should not be unbalanced at any stage, and we must be able to sort of hold our own on our borders and this terrorist situation internally. So to do that, it's a drawn out process, and I think it has been these reforms have been set into motion.
Yeah, I'll stop the questions and answers here at this point, Satish, because this
Right.
is going to be a long drawn thing, and I see a
Yes.
lot of emotional responses.
And
I see a lot of this thing, right? So we've outlined today what, like, for all viewers of Gunner Shot, what I'm trying to put across to you is we've outlined today in the evening what all we can do with Pakistan, because we have to head that way sooner or later. In the morning, I've all highlighted what all we're going to, what I we have to do internally, right? And maybe tomorrow we'll come to think what is a holistic plan, what are the holistic choices of plans which we can come out with, right? And we'll wait. Just hang on. We've got a different perspective from Jan Satish Dua. Thanks a lot, Jan Dua, for your candid views. He's
thank you,
taken
sir.
on some tough questions. Let me tell you, I put to him some of the toughest questions which are uppermost in most of our minds. I'm sure he wouldn't have had to face these questions in a TV show. Am I right on that?
Absolutely.
Right? And we've been candid about it. Okay? So we'll see how this whole thing goes. I'd like to thank General Satish Dua for taking time off, because from morning to evening now, I'm sure he's already had 8 to 10 appearances on various TV channels, and he's had the grace to come and speak to us. Thanks a lot, and I also
So
like to thank everyone who's joined. Just wait, let's see how things happen. I'll go back, have a look at what the statement is, yeah, wo, and then let's see what our options are by tomorrow morning, right? And join me back at 9 o'clock in the morning. We'll discuss what the options, viable options, are available with India to do what it has to do, and what are the repercussions of each of these options. You have 100 options, but what are the repercussions? That's the point which we have to see. We'll till then have a great night. Jai Hind and good night to all of you. And to General Dua, thanks a lot, and Jai Hind to you too.
thank you, sir. Jai Hind, everyone.